All right, here's a criminal teamwork amongst the people of the state. Terrorists, Latina female, 7XDL439. At the same time that the entity is stalking, flying quite a distance, Ontario Town Square, not rising in elevation, not getting any quieter, hovering over the neighborhood of demons that are gang stalking. That's P.O.C.'s United Airlines. All right, but this is the pattern of conduct. Delta Airlines, Southwest Airlines, UPS, FedEx, Amazon Prime Air, Frontier Airlines, Starlux Airlines, Alaska Airlines, okay, that are still proceeding west, and they're acting like they're then rising in elevation. My evidence shows that you're rising in elevation over the housing community while I'm inside of the Ontario Village Shopping Center. This is the entity that's stalking. And this is the entity that's being federally prosecuted. Stalking in the path at the red light, the traffic lights that the entity controls, which is also light activity in the path. It's demonic and it's psychopathic. This is the public corruption. And they are all demons together. Demons in the sky space. The people of the state and the commercial airline companies shall be no more. Martial law, there will be no plane activity. There will be no airport in Ontario, California. Okay, and it's already over. You're looking at them with knowledge of the fact that they are fully caught and exposed and literally convicted, and they're still engaged. Why do you think they're engaged in that level of obvious criminal conduct? Because they know that it is already over, which is desperation, suicidal, self-destructive. Why would you do that? This is an entity that's very well much anticipating federal prison and a shutdown, and the shutdown is going to be martial law, and that includes the people of the state. Okay, that's also not a destination. This is confirmation with regard to what I'm stating. Stalking. You don't maintain an airport to engage in stalking, and you're not going to maintain an airport that's stalking. And that's the U.S. military that exposed its own co-defendant, the people of the state, who are going to be prosecuted for treason. That's P.O.C. And the entity is engaging in this. Every license plate that I document, while they were stalking the other night with the U.S. military that flew over my head by helicopter in the neighborhood, every license plate that I documented is going to prison. They represent the people of the state, and they're going to federal prison. That's how domestic terrorists are going to be treated under federal law. This same impunity, this disregard for your rights to not be subject to it. All right? They're going to prison. As clearly as I go and I represent the people of the state, because they're all engaged in the pattern of conduct, and that's what the evidence has already demonstrated. It's also demonstrating their impunity. The U.S. military that's gang stalking is the people of the state that are gang stalking. And the way in which they do so with impunity, you're all sharing in that ongoing criminal pattern of conduct and that attitude toward your lawlessness, and you're going to prison. That's the pattern of conduct. It is currently 6:06 a.m. That is the entity that is very much indeed admitting that they're not going anywhere and that they're stalking me and that I'm the focal point. And that is good. That is providence as far as the law, because the people of the state are going to federal prison. The U.S. military already know that it's over for them as well. These are very much self-destructive and suicidal people. They're demon-possessed. The demon-possessed are being put under martial law. The demon-possessed are being deported. The demon-possessed are being federally prosecuted. Okay? POC, this is psychopathic. This is a psychopathic pacing. And this is occurring when I start speaking about the demons directly. They engage in this conduct, okay? That's the pattern of conduct, and that is Alaska Airlines in particular. They're going to be civilly and criminally prosecuted. All right, a civil prosecution for treason and furtherance of murdering me, that is going to be a lawsuit that will serve to destroy that company. It's not going to continue. It will no longer be. All right, that's the pattern of conduct while the entity is engaging. That's 3 minutes and 40 seconds. And it is currently, by the way, 6:07 a.m. None of those are flights published on the website. None of those are flights headed to a destination. They're not going to Honolulu by pacing and rising in elevation right here over B Street. This is where the Ontario police are stalking as well. This is where the people of the state are stalking all together under the fake sun. This is the entity that's engaged in that. The more that I speak the truth about what they are and what's going to happen, the more demons that are the U.S. military that are engaging in exposed acts of war engage in that. And that's because this criminal pattern of conduct is demonic activity. So that is, their demonic impulses are that which they cannot control. That is also a behavioral health concern threatening national security. Moreover, as I speak of it, they engage in more of it, commit more of it. That is because they are actually mentally ill. They are demon possessed. And as they engage in it, it is serving their own prosecution. The prosecution of the people that have no day in court that is ever going to be successful. There is no defense. There is no protection. There is no deviation from the federal RICO case against them. They are fully proven under the law that as the U.S. military engages in the pattern of conduct, as the entity is stalking in planes and helicopters, as the entity maintains that specific environment, every single last person is sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct. That's how idiotic this psychopathic pacing, as I begin documenting, is, how self-destructive it is. There is no explanation for the sun to remain over me, one person, as I go from city to city, because it's no longer remaining over Euclid Avenue and C Street, where there would never be any sun over me on B Street and Fern. But that's what I've documented. I've documented B Street and Palm, excuse me. That's exactly what I've documented in the middle of the day. This is the prosecution of the entire entity. All right. This is the fourth plane. This is mentally ill behavior. And this is the entity that's going to be on lockdown for the protection of the American people. Okay, the civil cases are a means of prosecuting. That's United Airlines. That's what you're seeing. So you're Delta Airlines, United Airlines, Alaska Airlines. And I want to be clear, that's a demon-possessed homosexual male that engages in what is stalking using the large commercial planes. Those are not passengers on that plane. The U.S. military are getting in those planes, engaging in psychopathic behavior. And the people of the state are in their homes engaging in criminal activity right now. This is the criminal act. This is the criminal system. Crossing path is pursuant to what is a population that knows exactly where I'm at and is acting in sync with them. As I'm walking through the neighborhood and the entity is stalking me by commercial airline companies that do not have any destination, by hovering over this street intersection, you're not taking off from the airport, hovering over here. And don't forget when they're doing the same thing northwest over the Pizza Hut parking lot. This is the entity that's engaged in what is stalking me, and it lets you know that the people of the state are stalking, and you're going to be prosecuted. You're going to be federally prosecuted. There is no difference between the gang stalking church, the gang stalking establishments, the businesses, the gang stalkers on the roads and the highways. The entity's pattern of conduct is prosecuting the people, and that's what I said is the purpose at the outset. The domestic terrorists are the constituents of the very state, and they are being federally prosecuted. They are enemies. They engage in and facilitate murder amongst themselves and amongst targeted individuals like myself. That's the pattern of conduct in the U.S. Very enemies of this country have served to prosecute them and their co-defendant, who are the people of the state. That's P.O.C. By the way, 6:11 a.m. This is the entity that's engaging in that. As you can clearly see, the entity's pattern of conduct is directly indicative to severe mental instability, and it is also directly incriminating to the population who are in the area where the U.S. government is maintaining that pattern of conduct. The pattern of conduct with regard to the plane activity, that is demonic. You also, what is demonic with regard to the frequency, you're witnessing demonic activity, and it's letting you know that they're in there facilitating venues, monitoring via communication devices, and it's a criminal act while they are literally in the path, meaning it is criminal to live in Ontario, California, being anywhere around me. You don't have a place of belonging when the U.S. military is maintaining criminal surveillance and furtherance of murdering anyone, and that's what they're all doing. All of them. And they're being prosecuted because they are proven to be engaging in that pattern of conduct. You pull up at your home with regard to molesting me with light. I documented that right here. You are gang stalking me under the fake sun. You're engaging in surveillance on the roads and the highways, crossing paths, while the entity, just like you see in this video, is stalking in plane after plane, including in helicopters. The entire city of Ontario is already surrounded. All right, they're already in a chokehold with regard to the federal prosecution of them. The U.S. military's prosecution is the prosecution of them, the people of the state. All right. And what you're aware of is that they're all demon possessed. All of them. They are all demon possessed. They are all vagina monitors. They're sex offenders. That's what a gang stalker is. A violent sex offender. They're stalking you everywhere at all times. And they're in their homes where they cannot hide. These are all facilitating venues, and they're all being prosecuted. P.O.C. It is currently, just want to get this one, 6:12 a.m. Alrighty, this is letting you know what the entity is doing, flying over my head in the Fontana parking lot in an Amazon Prime airplane. Pay attention to what I'm documenting on April 14, 2026. While they're flying over my head on the sidewalk in Montclair, California, Southwest Airlines. That's gang stalking right here. There's only one airport though. While I'm in Ontario at B Street and Fern. While the entity is stalking, while I am in Pomona, California, and UPS is hovering over the entire airport. The airport is being shut down. It is proven that. And these are suicidal demons. They are not the elite at all.